If you've watched this channel for a little while, you've probably noticed that I gravitate towards maximalist design styles. I personally love that style, but that doesn't mean I don't appreciate a well-designed minimalist space. There's so much to appreciate about a minimalist aesthetic, and today I'm going to go over how you can achieve a minimalist look in your space. Because I know that not everybody likes that maximalist vibe. So this one's for you. So sometimes in our space, we just want to get rid of the clutter. It just doesn't serve us. It makes ourselves feel maybe anxious or chaotic or just aesthetically not pleasing for your living space. So how do we achieve this look, this calm and serene, minimalist design principles in your own space? So the first tip that I have for you guys is to focus on functionality. This is key to a well-designed minimalist space. So the key to minimalist design is to focus on the functionality. So you want to choose furniture pieces that serve a purpose and are streamlined in design. You really want to get rid of those items that you don't use or you don't need. By having fewer items in your home, it can really help you create a clean and open space. So when you're thinking about each individual piece, you want to think how it will serve you and how it will work in the space. And again, we're getting rid of all the extras. Whenever I think of a minimalist space, I generally, in my mind's eye, will think of something with very neutral color palette or almost a very monochromatic color palette is another way that I'll go about, visualizing a minimalist space. I feel like the biggest thing with minimalism is really embracing simplicity. So bold colors, I think, can work for some people, but generally speaking, in minimalist aesthetic, you will see a very calm, serene, and neutral backdrop. So you want to think whites, taupes, beiges, creams, any of those soft, light colors. I was going to say gray, but I feel like we're all over the gray. So maybe not gray, but if you still like gray, go for it. Gray is still a great neutral if you're not tired of it. However, with your minimalist space, I do want to also touch on this, that you don't have to keep it super boring and lifeless, because that's not the goal either. We still want it to be very inviting and cozy. So you want to bring in some of those touches through very minimal accessories. So I think of the Scandinavian design style as a really, really good inspiration for minimalism. You'll often see a very neutral backdrop with little touches of black throughout, and then maybe even a splash of a pastel or a nice soft color brought in throughout the space. So that's a really nice way to tie in some color into your space through minimal accessories without being overbearing in your paint and aesthetics throughout your overall kind of background palette. What I really love about a great minimalist space is when you have a super simple space, simple furnishings, simple furniture, very minimal color, but then you have a really beautiful showstopper piece of artwork. That to me is how to embrace minimalism in the proper way. I don't know what it is. There's something about a big, bold, beautiful art piece, especially if it's something that you've invested in, that's really nice to, showcase in a minimalist space, because there isn't a lot else to draw your attention away from it. So it gets its presence and its, the piece de resistance in your space that is absolutely, what it needs for something that's a beautiful showcase piece. Just a brief pause here. If you guys are enjoying this content, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. I really appreciate it. It helps the algorithm and all that jazz. Thank you. So I've touched on this already briefly, but going back into that decor piece, we really want to think about a minimalist interior is less is more. So when we're thinking about our space, we want to avoid having lots of small decor items, and you really want to focus on those few statement pieces that will really stand out on their own. So for example, I mentioned that artwork piece would be a great example of a large statement piece, but also you can think of something sculptural, perhaps a beautiful vase, something that will really make a big impact without overwhelming the space. What I really like about decor in a minimalist space is, say you have a beautiful bookcase or a built-in, you can leave a lot of white space, and it does really lend well to this look without feeling, too empty. And by white space, I mean blank space. So let's say you have a shelf and you have a beautiful vase on one end and maybe 2 books on another, and that's it for the whole shelf. In a maximalist house or in many other aesthetics, that would probably look really sparse. But in a well-curated minimalist home, that looks absolutely stunning, and it does become its own statement piece. So thinking about spaces like that where just the right touches, minimal, again, even neutral with some of those pieces to really help it just blend in and look more architectural, will really take your decor to the next level in minimalism. And I think that's the one thing. Minimalism doesn't have to be like bland or boring or not cozy and warm. It's just how you achieve that look. Lots of editing in this look. One of my favorite tips, and I think this is one of those things that goes on our last point, which is we want the space to look cohesive, minimalist, but we still want it to feel warm and inviting, and this element will help with that. And that is bringing in natural elements. So things like woods, so your flooring is a perfect example of bringing in that nice warm material. So a nice wood floor throughout would be great for a minimalist space. Or plants. Plants are a great way to help liven up and add a little bit of organic and natural texture to a minimalist space. A beautiful plant, like I have a Birds of Paradise, and it is massive. She is loving her corner of light that she has, and it is a statement piece on its own because it has grown really large. So I actually am trying to figure out how do I repot her because she has definitely outgrown her pot. And when it comes to the type of planters that you use, because obviously it's not just about the plant, but it's about the planter, think about your color scheme. So if you're doing lots of neutrals, say lots of whites, creams, keep your planters in that same aesthetic and keep it very like minimalist, architectural looking even to really, add to that cohesive feeling, and then let the greenery or the colors of the plant really kind of stand out on their own. What I really do appreciate about a minimalist decor is it embraces simplicity and functionality. I feel like sometimes it's actually a lot harder to design a space for a minimalist intention because everything is so purposeful. But when it's well done and well executed, a minimalist environment is absolutely stunning and gorgeous to live in and be in, and just it looks amazing when it's done really well. So I hope these tips are helping you guys create a really inviting and cozy minimalist space. So until next time, bye! Cohesive, oh my God, these bugs, what is that bug? There's a giant bug in here. Okay, don't you dare fly over here.